Good evening to all of you. Welcome to another session of Java programming lectures. And in these lectures, we'll discuss about type wrappers and string handling. Okay, these are the very short lecture sessions where we'll be briefly discussing about what is type wrapper, or what is their need, and how why Java has provided this kind of features. And as usual, the second part is string handling. And in the string handling, we'll see how to handle string, how Java handles string. Okay, and we'll see the differences, how strings are better handled in Java compared to the programming language like C, C++. So beginning with type wrapper. So these terms might be a little bit new to all of you. So in Java, everything is handled as object. Okay, so we know that there are built-in classes, there are user-defined classes, and the operations are every operation performing, for any operation that we perform, we create objects. Okay, and various standard data structures are implemented by Java for handling objects. So we'll see that if you refer to the Java utility library, you will find various data structures, and definitely we're going to discuss some important data structures in our next session. All right. So these operations, all these these data structures operate on objects. Okay, so they treat any operation that you perform, they apply on objects. So normally these things are not applied on primitive types. Okay, so since till now we have seen that mostly when we are applying any operation, okay, any standard operation, we apply normally on the primitive types. Okay, but Java, it provides various operations. So for that, it treat any input as an object. Okay, so most of the time it treat the input as object. So when we pass as a primitive type, we need to handle it separately. Okay, so to handle this problem, because it is always the operations or methods that we define, okay, they mostly work on the objects. So to avoid take care of the primitive, whenever we need to in primitive type to be handled, in that case Java provide type wrappers. Okay, so what happens here, we have classes that actually encapsulate a primitive type within an object. So now integer type is no more when we talk about integer, or when we talk about character, so they are no more treated as a separate variable or separate data field which is handled, which is stored, which is occupies some memory. Rather, we are storing an integer, but as an object. Okay, integer object. So Java provides you the type wrappers as an object. Okay, so we have the common type operation like double wrapper, float wrapper, long integer. So they are used to store the primitive types. So what is the benefit then? Now instead of applying any, suppose when we need to apply some operation, when you store this primitive type in some data structure which support only objects, we are not going to use primitive type. Rather, we are going to use this wrapper objects, which will be helpful to easily store this in the standard data structures, as well as applying some standard operations or standard methods that have been defined in various libraries. So that is the real idea behind this defining type wrapper. So they are, we can say, the objects. Okay, they are we have defined the classes, okay, which handle, okay, the primitive type, okay, the data types as an object in Java. Okay, so this is the list we have so far. Now the common wrappers which are used so far, we'll see some examples here. So that means every time we create an object of the wrapper type, we generally take the help of a constructor. Mostly we take the help of, so constructors are defined. So here is the list of constructor for a character type. So you can pass a character to a character wrapper object. Boolean can take a Boolean string as well as a Boolean value. Okay, both can be applied. So depend upon what type of Boolean case. So when you pass a Boolean string, that can create a equivalent Boolean number. Okay, which is containing Boolean string. Okay, so sometimes we just store a Boolean value. We can treat Boolean string to store a byte or something like that. So depend upon what string we pass, the corresponding object can be created. Okay, then integer. integer also can be taken from a string. Okay, you can take a string and get the equivalent string numeric integer value from the string. Okay, so various constructors are provided to convert a primitive type or no, as we have seen the string type into its equivalent type object in primitive type data wrapper or the object wrapper. All right, so into here, so we can do all these things. So there are constructors to do that. Whenever we create, okay, we generally initialize with some value, so that we can do with the constructors. So you must remember that whatever numeric type wrappers, okay, there are, okay, so all wrappers inherit the abstract number class. All right, so there is a class abstract class number. All these numeric, integer or double or a long, every every wrapper class, they inherit this number abstract class, and number declare a method that is, okay, that is with the type value, or generally the value, okay, that return the value of an object. So okay, so these are the list of the methods. They return the equivalent value of the primitive type. Suppose we say integer object. Okay, so what is the value of the integer? Okay, generally when we print directly integer, when we assign an integer value as a primitive type, we can directly use it as a part of part of print statement, and we can print it. But when we are using the wrapper objects, okay, then we generally use these methods to print the values. Okay, so get the value or the equivalent value of the corresponding type. Okay, so char value will give the corresponding character value for the character object, then bool for the boolean value for the boolean object, byte value for the byte object, and so on. For all of them, the type value, okay, the type value combination name is the method which will give you the value of the corresponding object. So see, here is an example given. See that we have created wrapper object of integer IOB, new integer 100. So we pass an integer value. I think we are using this first constructor. If you remember, we are using the first constructor here. All right, in equivalently we can pass this 100 as a string also, then also it will work, because it also has a second type of constructor which accepts a string and convert into equivalent numeric number. So it is an object of the integer type wrapper is created, and it is initialized to 100. Its value is 100. It holds the value. So whenever we want to refer the value, we cannot use the object because it is no more a simple variable. It's an object. So to get that, we can use this method. So we want to get the value of the integer object. So int value. So whenever we call the method int value, it gives us the integer equivalent. Okay, it returns integer type. Okay, so this method will return integer type, and the value that will be nothing but the value of the object that is been assigned. Okay, so int value, char value, double value, you can use this method to get the value of the object. What is the numeric value? Generally these are the numeric type wrappers. So for any numeric type wrappers, we can use this method to get its numeric equivalent value. So the definition of, or the building this type wrapper are generally have been made around these two concepts. Okay, so all this designing is generally meant for these two important things, that is auto boxing and auto unboxing. Okay, so let us discuss about first what is auto boxing. So it is the process by which a primitive type is automatically encapsulated, or we can say boxed, into its equivalent type wrapper whenever that type is needed. Okay, so definitely when Java has provided a list of objects that to store the primitive type, so there is definitely a need for that. Okay, and secondly, now people who are acquainted with the inbuilt ones or the primitive ones, for them, suppose you want to use let's say use them as an object. Okay, for that, what happens? That means you definitely need to take some help of, there is some conversion process should be there, that from the, let's say we are talking about two things. I have a variable integer I, and I have an object IOB, let's say of integer wrapper object, wrapper class. Okay, so definitely, so what may happen that sometime I need in the primitive type, I may need this value to be used in some operation where it is to be used as a wrapper object. Okay, so for that definitely some transformation method should be there. Okay, and definitely if you think of the, if you think the same concept in terms of any other programming language, then the user need to define the corresponding object. We have seen that, we have seen type conversion in our C++. We have seen the people that we have to write type conversion methods or the functions in the corresponding user defined classes. Okay, so to do the corresponding function. But Java, what is that this part, what the conversion is required from the primitive type to the wrapper object type and vice versa is done automatically. That is through this concept auto boxing and auto unboxing. So when you say boxing means, okay, automatically converting a primitive type into its equivalent type wrapper type, or type wrapper object type, you can say type wrapper class type. So we do not need to explicitly construct an object, okay, to convert it. So suppose I need to let's say I have integer 25 and I have to use this 25 as a type wrapper object. So for that I do not have to create an object, so I can directly assign it. So we can see that this automatic conversion is done via assignment operation. So no need to explicitly construct an object for just for conversion. Okay, similarly auto unboxing is the process in which the value of a boxed object, okay, is automatically extracted. We call that, so it's called unboxing, from a type wrapper to its value needed, to its, let's say, to primitive type of value it is needed. All right, so again here there is no need to call int value double value, because here while the conversion is going on, we do not have to call this method and store in the integer the way I have shown you in the previous example. That is only for demonstration, but actually when it is required we can do it directly. So no longer necessary to manually construct an object to wrap up. So for wrapping around we do not need to do manually construct an object. So we can do assignment, we can do this automatic conversion with assignment operation whenever and wherever we need. Okay, so here is an example of auto boxing. So we can see that first we are creating an object of integer wrapper. Okay, so integer IOB equal to 100. What is now 100 is a constant of integer type. So you can see that these are two different types. On the right hand side we have the type is a primitive type, on the left hand side a wrapper type of integer type. Okay, so this 100 to, okay, to an object of integer type, integer wrapper object, okay, is done automatically. Java handles all these things. Okay, so this is boxing. Okay, this is called boxing. So 100 is stored as a value of this object. Okay, that's why you are boxing it. You are boxing the 100 into an object. That's why the terms come auto boxing. Okay, then auto unbox. Auto unbox means we have an object of wrapper class, okay, or wrapper type, and it is converted into primitive type. So int I, it says that it's a primitive type. So this assignment, this conversion, there is a conversion is going on from primitive type to wrapper type and vice versa. Both cases are, okay, this unboxing unboxing cases are handled by Java automatically. So Java takes care of this process. So you as an user no need to be worried about that. You don't have to construct. Okay, you don't have to always you call a constructor of that particular wrapper class. Okay, whenever creating we can do that, creating and initializing we are doing it at that time, but whenever we need to assign it, for that purpose we do not have to explicitly call the constructor object. Or for reverse case, when from an object to an primitive type, we don't have to call the type value method. All right, so this is, so you can see this example here. We are simply creating a method here, static int, the method name is m. It takes a wrapper object of integer type and simply returns it. Okay, returns it. So what happens here when it, what is return type here? Return type is integer here. It's a static because we want to call it directly. That's it. So you can see that here for class AutoBox2, it accepts the v as an integer wrapper object. Okay, but what it returns, return type is int, the primitive type. So in this statement return v, the conversion happens auto. What is this? Then unboxing. It is, you are unboxing the integer wrapper to the primitive type here. So an unboxing is going on here. All right, so whenever an object is created, we create an object here and we call this by method m. Okay, for this, so what happens, this method is called, okay, so we create an object here and we a method call and an assignment happens, okay, with this line. So this method passes 100, okay, first. So 100 is an integer is again boxed, we can say auto boxing is happens. 100 is boxed into the wrapper object v, then again v is unboxed, okay, and returned as an integer. So boxing, unboxing both happen with this call, the call to n. It should be very clear. Okay, so Java handles all this automatically from from the wrapper type to the primitive type and vice versa. All right, so this is called auto boxing and unboxing. So here is an example where autoboxing and unboxing also in term of expression. Let us see it. Okay. So we have two wrapper objects of integer type IOB and IOB2. All right, and a primitive variable integer I. All right, IOB equal to 100. All right. So again here auto boxing is done. So 100 is a primitive type. So primitive type to the wrapper type. Okay. So wrapper object type. So it becomes an or boxing is done here. Auto boxing. All right. Then we are printing it. We are incrementing. Exactly. Okay, so incrementing generally we are done with the primitive type. So what happens here? So it is again boxing and unboxing, both are happening here. All right, then it comes, let's come to this expression. Okay, always whenever you using arithmetic operation, any operator we have shown Sabha, that is generally done through the primitive type, you remember. Okay, so in C++ what happens? There is a overloading concept given that, okay, yes, suppose you want to use the operator with the objects, okay, with not with the primitive type. Suppose you want to define with the any class, okay, user defined class type or any other class type, then that is overloaded. Even if for the library classes all the arithmetic operation which are necessary are overloaded over there, but here we are not doing any overloading thing. Here the auto boxing unboxing concept helps to achieve that. Okay, so when you want to add two objects or do some operation on this wrapper object using the standard operations, okay, operators, so auto boxing unboxing happens. So you see that IOB plus IOB by 3. So whenever IOB by 3 is the 3 is a primitive type, so first IOB is converted into transformed into primitive type. All right, then operation is performed. Again this is again there is operation. So first this all IOBs are converted into transformed unboxed, we can say. All right, unboxed to primitive type, then operation is performed. Once the operation performed, that results in a primitive type value, so preferably integer type. Okay, so or double type. All right, so there is a division here, so probably we expect that it will be a double type. Okay, so or both are integer means we can expect that is a round of number, we can get it right here. All right, so fine, whatever it is. So we mean to say that the right hand side will be a primitive type, okay, resulting type. Then again we want back into the integer wrapper type. All right, so what happens here? So this result will be again boxed. Okay, auto boxing will be done, okay, to the IOB type, to the primitive type, so to the wrapper object type. All right, so this is how it happens. So Java takes care of this boxing unboxing automatically. So the developers no need to be worried about this particular conversion. They don't have to define separate method or some mechanism for this transformation. Secondly, this is the third one. You see that. All right, the unbox happens with the IOB. Okay, but what happens is equal to I, where I is an integer. So here no reboxing is done, or I say again auto boxing is not done. The result is directly assigned to the I, because the L value is a primitive type. The R value will result into a primitive type value. Okay, so that's how this auto boxing works. So the user or sorry, the developer will not feel as if that, okay, there is an object and I need to be this, I need to be, the developer will not be cautious or concerned about that, how I have to handle these conversions. That is completely provided, taken care by the Java programming language to do all these tasks. Okay, so this is about auto boxing and auto unboxing of expressions. Now something must be repaired. So auto boxing unboxing generally helps to prevent error. So if you generally when we do manual conversion any time of transformation into some type, okay, then no there will be cases that till now we have seen that is auto wrapper type. We'll see that cases where we need to convert into sometime user defined type. So for that the user defined type class must define the proper method to further conversion. All right. So generally the idea behind auto boxing unbox to help the prevent error for generally the type errors, the conversion errors. Okay, so each auto box and auto unbox add some extra task. That's why. So we can know that this is not if it is automatically for us. So Java definitely performs your task. So there are some little overhead for this conversion. Okay, that is if a primitive type is used. All right. So and when you use primitive type, this conversion overhead is not there. Remember that. Your use should be of type wrapper should be only used when we explicitly need them. Okay, whenever object representation of a primitive type is recorded, whenever we need to represent a primitive type like integer or double, or think of any primitive type which is to be treated as an object, so that will be used for representing in some library data structures or any library methods, then only you use this auto boxing and unboxing. Otherwise it's saying that try to avoid that. Don't try to use don't replace, okay, the primitive type with the wrapper type. That is a point to be noted. All right. So you shouldn't use just like I can use directly the objects of integer, so I can use wherever I like. No, that is not the objective here. So you must remember that whenever you need an object, okay, a wrapper object, okay, to be used as a part of some data structure or part of method where we cannot use the primitive type directly, then you are suggested to use the auto boxing and unboxing concept by using the wrapper objects. All right. So this is the end of the discussion of the wrappers, and I definitely suggest users to go through the examples that has been mentioned in the book. Okay, 2-3 examples, that is good enough to know that to use all of this. And I have already listed out the important wrappers at the first slide. So these are the basic very common slides for generally we are mostly we use the numeric wrappers, okay, for the purpose of conversion, mostly for the primitive type and types that is there in the Java. So they are very popular because we need the objects for this kind of primitive. Others are not essential. Okay, so whenever required, so please see some examples of this. Okay, we have already told I have already told the basic type, basic way to do that. Rest is to work out through some examples. Okay, so this is all about the wrapper object, type wrappers and their auto boxing and auto unboxing process. Next, let us move to string. As it is, string is very popular, popular data structure to store any string type, any of the programming language. Okay, but Java strings are special. Okay, Java strings are really better than that. So Java provide inbuilt string class to handle all these things. So you generally we have both options here. We can use the primitive type array, use array of primitive type, array of character to handle a character array, okay, array of character. But for handling all operations, operations of string, it is Java's string class which gives us is the best. Okay, so unlike other programming language, Java implement string as an object. Okay, so in Java, wherever you use string, generally it is used as a string class. Okay, string object, an object of string class, we can say. Okay, we might have seen that in the main method also we accept the command line argument as a string, okay, array of string class object. Okay, so we have seen that. All right, so now one thing we must remember that strings are immutable. Mean to say that once we create an object of string, we cannot modify it, or we can say we cannot manipulate it actually, preferably. Okay, we cannot make any change to the characters. Mean to say that we cannot make changes to individual character, especially through the index operation. That indicate the property of immutable. If it is mutable, means we can make the change. We can just select one character or a set of character from the string and make some changes on the in place, okay, on that place only. Suppose I have stored a string in some variable, let's say s, okay, so I should be able to make changes with the, okay, with that particular variable s. Okay, in that case it is mutable, but once you create an object of string, that is immutable. We cannot change the characters, okay, of the particular string. Now sometime we want to change it, okay, we need to change, then we actually create new object and make the we store the altered version, okay, by making the modification. So what happens that in this process the original string remains unchanged, okay. Always the original string is applied various operation to extract the various part and construct the new string, rather than modifying the original string itself. That is not done, okay. So that concept makes the Java string immutable. So remember that we can never make the characters, okay, we cannot never modify the characters of a string in Java. All right. So now there are, but apart from this, we can also have some classes that provide modification of strings, okay. So we can make changes over there. String builder and string buffer, okay, although they are not so popular, we'll see that, okay. So the Java string, the string buffer, string builder, all defined inside the library JavaLang. So we need to use JavaLang for using all these things. And by default, some editors, they use JavaLang by default, okay. So you need not to worry about importing these things. So these are the set of constructors provided for string class, okay. So string class also. So default constructor, we can create an empty string. Then parametric constructor, they take various type of arguments. We can see this here, okay. First is we can initialize a string by an array of character. We have already an array of character, we can convert that into string. Done. Second, we have initialized by a range of the character array. Suppose we have a character array, but we want to initialize a string from a particular range of that particular character array. So not the entire character array. We want entire character array, use the second version that they have shown here. But here the third version shows that we can mention which is the starting index from which the string to be initialized and how many characters. So like creating a string, okay, from a substring of array of character, that can be done also by using the third version of the parameterized constructor. Fourth version is a copy constructor. Simply a string object we want to copy that into the new string that we are creating. That can be done also. All right. Then copy constructor from a string buffer. Yes, that is also allowed. So if you have a string buffer object, that also can be converted into can be copied into the string which you are creating by using a copy constructor. Next, the parameter constructor from byte array. Okay, we not only can create a string object from the character array, we can also create from a byte array. Okay, ASCII. So bytes generally, they will store in ASCII form. All right, we can store the ASCII characters because byte to store the number. Okay, the size is 1 byte. So they can store the ASCII numbers. So ASCII character array. So bytes are generally, when we do this, we treat the byte as a ASCII character array and convert them into the equivalent character string. All right. So we'll see an example of that. And not only the entire array, we can also take the substring, sub array. Sub array can be also converted into the string by the second constructor type. All right. So here is an example. So we have an array of character here, JAVA, four characters. We create a string S1 new string C. We pass this entire character array as an argument. So the new string will be Java. Okay, a string with the name with the characters Java, right? Then string S2 equal to new string S1, copy constructor. So already existing string object is there S1, and we create a copy of S1 that is S2. We print both of them, S2 and S1. That's it. Okay, then byte array. All right, ASCII. Okay, so in byte array we are storing the number. So there are 6 element array. Each element is a number, and actually they will be, when it is converted, they will be treated as the character of equivalent value. So when we do this, string S3 equal to new string, and we pass this byte array, so all these values will represent the corresponding character in the ASCII format. Okay, ASCII format in the string. Okay, so 65 is probably capital A, 66 is a capital B, so A, B, C, D, okay, in that way. So we are printing here, right? Then not only we can initialize a string by the entire array, but also substring. The example of substring. So string S4 is initialized from the byte array ASCII, but not the entire array, starting from second index 0, 1. Okay, so 67, okay, and 3 characters. So the third parameter says the number of characters. So number of elements 67, 68, 6. So 3 characters only. So a string S4 will be a string of, and will be initialized to a string of 3 characters. All right. So this is how various constructors of the string can be used to create a string object type. Then string methods. Now very common method is length. Whenever we very frequently need to use the length, okay, to know the length of a string, that can be used. Okay. Next, we can also use string literals directly for assigning any value, assign any value to the string object. Okay, so this is allowed. Okay, so string literals can be used directly. Okay, and directly with the string objects. Okay, so we can assign the strings like that. We can initialize the string like that. Okay, whenever we need to create an object of, okay, that also can be. So this is an assignment operation allowed. All right. Next, we have extractions. We can extract a single character by using caret. We can extract a string of character by providing the starting position, end position. All right, and where that set of character to be stored as a character array. All right, and then we can mention the target start, what point the target can be start. So these all things, see that there is a four thing it's given. So get characters will extract a string, okay, from the starting position to the end position, and all parameters are given. So multiple character can be extracted here. Then into byte format, store the characters in the byte format, okay, in an array of bytes. So preferably so if you get the values, there will be a corresponding ASCII values. Okay, 2 character array, we can directly convert also a string object into its equivalent character array. Then the most common operation, the concatenation operation. We have already seen this operation in while using the print, generally the system dot out dot println method. All right. So we add +2 for concatenating more than one string. We can use it anywhere. Okay, we can also use it with other type of data also. Okay, with integer. We have seen example here. So let's say variable is here. We can also concatenate with the variables. Okay, like this. Is plus age year old. So whatever the value of the age, doesn't matter the type, is integer or a floating point, it will be automatically converted into string type and concatenated with the rest of the strings. Okay, here there's 2 examples which is at the bottom, need to be very careful. Suppose you want to print 4, okay, definitely, okay, so if you do the first one, no, you're not going to get the desired output. Why? Because when we use this 2 is a two integer constant, these 2 are integer constant, but when we are using along with the string, first all the integers are converted into its string format, then concatenation is operated. All right, so this according to hierarchy, this plus will be performed first. So first all this will be converted, okay, this will be converted into that. All right, so if you do this, definitely it is entirely an concatenation operation, no arithmetic operation performed there. So if you want to perform an arithmetic operation, definitely provide parenthesis here. If you give parenthesis here, first it will see look for these operations. Now since these operations 2 operands are integer type, it is going to perform a plus here or addition here instead of concatenation. All right, then the result will be concatenated with the output. Okay, so you have to be little bit careful while you are using concatenation with the string and other data types. So it may, if you're not using proper way, you may not get your desired output. All right. Next, coming to the string conversion method. All right, so we can the value of the string, okay, we can also, there is a method for value of the string to get the corresponding value of the type of the object. Suppose sometimes string may store the numeric values, so we can get those. Okay, so here, so value of is overloaded for all the simple type, okay, like byte and integer, okay, double. So value of is, so it will give you the corresponding numeric value of that. Now for the objects of user defined type, okay, especially for the objects, actually value of calls the toString. Remember that. Okay, it will always call to the toString method. Always we get for that. But for it is fine for the primitive type. Remember that. But when you define user defined type, okay, when you want to get the value of a string, value of method, okay, so then it is recommended you have to override the toString method. For libraries, built-in libraries, toString is already defined. Okay, so in multi-threading we have already seen that. Okay, so whenever we want to print some print an object of thread class type, we can print it directly. Okay, and so toString method is already been defined for that. Okay, by the thread class. All right, but whenever for user defined type, we need to override the toString method. Here is an example to clarify this concept. Okay, so whenever you see that when we automatic the conversion cases happen, so we have a box class here. All right, so we want to, whenever we want to print a box, so definitely we cannot print in a box class. Okay, so whenever it comes to we want to know the value of the box. So for primitive type, we can use the value of the class objects. Let's say for wrapper tender, value of we already use the int values in the box. So for a built-in type, we can use the value of the string to get the value. But for a class, user-defined type class like box, in that case we cannot assume that automatically these things will be done. For that we have to define. So always, as it has been mentioned here, that the value of will call to the toString method that is been defined in that class. All right, so if it is user defined type, we have to override the method toString, okay, which will return a string here. All right, so this automatically the value of will automatically invoke this method. Remember that whenever we need to get the value of a string. Okay, whenever we need to get a value of the string. All right, so user defined type automatically for this we need to define this method, okay, to do this thing automatically. And you see that what you're doing here, we are simply printing out, okay, dimensions. Okay, because a box, we want to print convert a box into string type, so we are printing the dimension in the string version. Okay, you width by depth by height. Okay, one type of representation we are doing that. Okay, so what happens here? So when we see that we create a box object B here, instantiated by using the parameterize constructor, then strings S is equal to box B plus B. Okay, so we are concatenating the box object here. All right, so what happens here? So in this case, box B will be converted into string type. Okay, all right. So what happens? We concatenating here. So when you're concatenating here, all right, so it will be converted into string type. All right, because it's a string type. So for this purpose, it invokes, so it here the value of is called. Remember that whenever we do this for any object which of non string type, the value of will be called. All right, and which will again the value of the method will call the toString method, especially for the user defined type or the library type. All right, so we will this particular string will be concatenated to this. All right, so when we print it, system.box B, it is going to print like this, and we print S, it will be box B. Okay, entire things. Okay, so it will be printed like that. So this is how we call the value of method is invoked but through the toString method. So for user defined type, we have to override this. For all built-in classes, whenever we want to treat that object as a string, that corresponding toString method is called by the value of method is called. All right. Then string comparison methods, a list of string comparison methods are here. Equals, that can equals with ignoring case, then region match, okay, giving some index values which portion matches for both the strings. Okay, so these are all methods called by a string method. All right, by passing the string. Okay, then it's a region match with the ignore case. Okay, then start with, okay, start with this, so we'll treat that whether the string start with this method or ends with this start with this string or ends with this string. Okay, then comparison, we know that less than 0 says that, okay, the invoking string, the string which is less than the string as per the lexicographical order. If it is greater than 0, then it says that is greater than that. Equal to 0, both the strings are equal by their content. Okay, Alright. Now there is a little difference between the equals method and the double equal to operator, logical operator that we have encountered before. Okay. So equals actually compare the characters. Okay, character inside the string. So it checks the characters actually. Alright. But double equal to actually check whether these two objects on both the side of the double equal to are referring to the same objects or not. Okay, especially for the string, when you are mentioning two strings on the both the side, it will see that whether both are referring to the same object or not. Okay, if it is true, okay, if they are both are referring to the same instance. If they are referring to different instance, then it is false. Okay. So the double equal to operator compare two objects reference to see that whether they are referred to the same instance or not. Equals to actually look at the content. Okay, so here is an example is given. Okay, S1 is hello. So S2 is actually we are doing that. What are you doing here? We are passing S1 here. So S2 is not referring to this. Okay, S2 is get a copy of the S1. All right. So here S1 will be equal to S2, but S1 double equal to S2 not be same. Okay, will not be the true thing. Okay, it will go false. Then search operations. Okay, index of we can index of search an index of a character. We can see the last index of a character. Okay, last occurrence, first occurrence or last occurrence. We can also see the same, perform the same thing for a substring with the first occurrence of this substring it is present. What is the last occurrence? Okay, so list of methods are provided. So you can go through all these methods. Okay, and yes, every book or any site they have given small example of that. So these are the syntax also provided here. So whenever you need it, you can do. So all possible operations are being supported by the Java string class. Then modifying a string. Okay, then extracting the substring. Okay, by using substring method. All right. We can give the starting index, or we can give both. No, we can give starting index and end index. Then concatenating, we can also have inbuilt method to concatenate two strings. Replacing by using replace method, and trimming. We can trim the white spaces. Okay, from either both the side. Okay, leading and trailing side of the string. Okay. Then comes to the string buffer. Yeah, because there is a concatenation operation, okay, which helps in string manipulation along with the method we have seen so far. Substrings, character at, characters at, get characters. All they help to extract the character in various form. So we can extract the substrings whatever we like and construct the new string by using plus operation. That makes that okay, string buffer are less frequently used, even if they are provided with the string buffer class, which you can expand automatically. It can expand along with the size. Okay, alright. So whenever you add a new substring, automatically it will expand. So that it is still good, but because a string is very popular, and we can do all manipulation we can create a new string by doing all operation on an existing string. So that's why it is not very it's not frequently used. Okay, not that popular. Okay, so here is this list of constructor, and all the methods you can refer to any of the online material or any of the book for referring to string buffer and string builder class. They both are almost similar. So with this, we came to the end of the discussion of the handling the wrapper classes, okay, or type wrapper classes, and the string. Okay, string is very popular, and I hope everybody will use very in many cases whenever we need use handle string, you will use all the methods efficiently using the string class. That's all from this lecture. That's all. Thank you.